about how great she is at locating and understanding how different locations each time a hitter comes up to bat can help her and let her have an advantage, making hitters think something's a little bit faster than it is, but also mixing speeds.
It's Carly Shelton. Last 10 has been on absolute fire. Veteran umpiring crew today. Heath Walker behind home plate. Donald Brown over at first. Donald Holton at third base. I mean, the fans were lined up here. We arrived well over 2 hours before first pitch, and they were camped out ready to come in here at McWhirter way back then.
Oh yeah, there were lawn chairs out right in front of the gate waiting for the time that probably an hour before game when gates open.
2-2 pitch on the way, low and away to Carly Shelton. Graduated a year early to enroll at USC, played at Lexington High School down near the Midlands, in the Midlands. 3-year starter there for that program. Payoff pitch. Hammered into the net and foul. Did you get nervous before some of your rivalry games? The Aggies and Longhorns, when you guys were going toe-to-toe in the Big 12?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know what it means, and when your fan bases are into it, you know the fans are going to be rowdy, and both sides in that rivalry, our fans yell at each other.
It's a shot into left center field. Up with it quickly is Brockenbrough, and recovers in time to limit that hard hit ball to just a single off the bat of Carly Shelton.
An off-speed pitch that just hangs up in the zone there. Shelton able to get enough of it. Off-speed pitch high in the zone is something that a lot of hitters are able to get the barrel to, not necessarily for power, but they're able to push those singles into the outfield when you leave that off-speed pitch up.
First look at Ariana Rhodey. She had a 3-run blast in the first meeting between these two. That was 21 days ago, and maybe one of my favorite stories for South Carolina is her arrival from Charlotte, where she came from Rhode Island and played ice hockey and won 3 state championships. You don't hear of a lot of players playing softball in Rhode Island coming down south to play collegiately, but to also be a standout on the ice is pretty impressive.
It's not very often you are a standout on something inside and cold and outside and warm.
Popped up, foul territory, the diving grab, and Vieira unable to corral it at the last minute. A great effort.
I have to imagine, though, being an ice hockey player, that keeps you in shape, especially with endurance. And so a great diving effort. That ball just, with the Clemson defense playing back, Cintron has no play on it. The only person who has the play is Vieira, and you can tell she didn't know exactly which angle it went off of Rhodey right off the bat.
Another question I have for you from a pitching perspective. You see the shadow of the stadium crossing directly through, almost the center of the circle. Is that an advantage for either side? Because, I mean, the ball feels like when it's released, it comes right there at that edge.
Well, sometimes it can be an advantage for the pitchers. The shadows and light can be a distraction. A hitter's eye play a little different. It won't be long, though, before obviously the whole circle's covered with the shadow. But a lot of times when that shadow cuts almost halfway between the circle and the box, it can mess with the hitter's eyes.
You see that a lot in baseball and softball this time of day. We're about an hour away from sunset here in upstate South Carolina. 2 balls and 2 strikes with Shelton over at first base, and turned out to be a picture-perfect afternoon into the evening. 2 teams playing some outstanding softball at this juncture in the season, in contention to host not only a regional, but perhaps a super regional in the case of South Carolina. And that is a shot down the right field line, and it stays in fair territory. Taking third will be Shelton. Heads up base running, the Gamecocks in business. So Ariana Rhodey now has reached base in 35 straight games for Carolina.
It's another off-speed pitch, so you can tell that South Carolina knows Basinger is going to throw a lot of off-speed. And another one, not hard hit, but just well placed, going with that low and outside pitch. Shelton, Coach Browder over there at third base, waving Shelton on the whole time, knowing that really, because it wasn't hit as hard as Rhodey can, that Shelton had time to go to third as well.
So a big moment here in the top of the first, and Chansey takes a big gut. 0-1. Ella Chansey, the senior from Athens, Georgia, Madison County High School, also transferring into Columbia from Charlotte. A chance to do some serious damage here, but behind 0-2. Basinger delivers home. Fouled straight back.
Mike Basinger staying in that same spot. Chansey misses it twice in a row. A lot of times you'll see pitching coaches and pitchers change pitches or locations just for the sake of mixing. And if a hitter has shown you that they can't hit it yet, you don't always have to make that change.
Chansey fights off another one. What changes the eye level, right? Especially if you go up or down, obviously, in the zone or out of the zone.
Yeah, the first two looked like they were right about letter height, probably rise balls inside and Chansey under them. And you saw Basinger try to go up just a little bit, probably could have elevated a little higher over Chansey's head to see if she can get the swing and miss.
Good take from Ella that time, and it's 1-2.
So many pitching coaches are afraid to throw something 3 times in a row. And don't get me wrong, really good hitters can adjust to it. But as a pitcher, too, trust your stuff, and if that's your strength, go with it.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Basinger inside in a full count. Well, South Carolina's plate discipline, one of the ways that Ashley Chastain Woodard's been able to turn things around in Columbia so quickly and have this kind of season right out of the gates. They do not swing at a lot of pitches out of the zone. Neither one of these teams do, for that matter, but
Basinger already up to 18 pitches so far in this game. Excuse me, 26, but 18 before this at bat. And that just shows you how many pitches South Carolina is prepared to take. And even this at bat alone, it started out 0-2. And Chansey now has worked it full. That's where, if you're Basinger and Clemson, what's the game plan to be the out pitch earlier in the at bat? What can you throw even if you're ahead that they can't barrel up?
10th pitch of the AB coming, and Chansey sends it foul territory once again. So a great battle between Ella Chansey, Reese Basinger. Pipkins getting that start over in right field again. We mentioned, too, Macy Cintron, the first baseman today for head coach John Rittman. Freshman making her first start at that spot this year. 3-2 again, hard to the plate, and a called strike 3. First strikeout for Basinger, 2 away in the top of the first.
Huge win for Basinger. Chansey fouling off.
Brown, a native of Savannah, Georgia, South Effingham High School. And a first pitch strike comes in from Jory Hurd, junior out of Illinois, 5'11". Her number's 13-2, and the high velo is what to watch.
Yeah, the high velo is what Ashley Chastain Woodard says works in her favor. The key, though, for her is being able to control the high velo. Sometimes she can walk a few too many, trying to throw hard and not control it. But you'll see against righties, her glove side sweep, so basically curveball looking break, is her strength.
South Carolina, one of the top fielding teams in America. Ella Chansey over at third, flashes the leather. Few steps in from the bag at third to deliver out number 1. So Brown's retired. Here's Maddie Moore, and this is what Ashley Chastain Woodard told us this week is critical for her team to win on the road, and that is to keep Moore off the base paths.
That would be the first key. The second is not allowing Alex Brown to be on in front of Moore in case she does get a hold of one.
Shot into left center field. That's going to roll all the way to the wall. And the 81st double of this season for the Tigers. And with one away, a runner in scoring position. Clemson and South Carolina came into this game actually tied with 80 doubles each as a team. That's a hard hit ball.
That was screwball in the inner half, and Maddie Moore just enough to get past the shortstop there, but you can tell how hard it is because it rolls all the way to the fence, gets herself in scoring position for Clemson early.
Here's Julia Noller. She did not play Sunday in the series finale against NC State. Sprained her ankle Saturday, not getting the start at first base today, but in the order. 331 average and those 13 home runs, always a threat. Over to second. It'll be gloved down by Shelton. Everybody's safe. And now Clemson with runners at first and third and just one away. So back-to-back knocks.
This just an outside pitch pulled, and you see Shelton there kind of couldn't decide if she was going to fully dive or not. And it's being stuck on her knees that gets her glove stuck, unable to come up with that one. Both teams first and third early in this game. We'll see how Clemson executes it on the offensive side.
Macy Cintron, talented freshman, coming Georgia, 0-1. John Rittman talking with us this week about her potential, and she'll play again later this summer for the Puerto Rican national team. Comes from a family of players and athletes. Actually threw a complete game a week ago in the midweek against Winthrop here. 0-2, so here comes Jory Hurd.
Tell Cintron was ready for that sweeping glove side pitch that Hurd throws. She was aggressive on it first pitch, didn't want that inner half there with pitch 2.
Cut on and miss, and the first strikeout for Jory Hurd. And a very important out, number 2 for South Carolina.
Jory Hurd ahead in the count, elevates this pitch on the inner half, and Cintron unable to lay off that, but there's the difference. You see Jory Hurd, only 9 pitches so far. We're at this point in the top half. We're already at 26 pitches for Basinger.
Inside out swing, it bounces to Chansey, who makes quick work.
That Clemson has enough confidence, hey, it's early in the game. If we give up the run trying to get the runner at second, or we in the inning, and obviously the momentum shifted to Clemson getting that big out. But so early in the ballgame, going all the way through, John Rittman and his staff confident that even if they gave up that run, they'd be able to get it back.
Here's Lexi Winters, the catcher. Jory Hurd, by the way, 200 strikeouts this season, not for her career, with that last punch out moments ago. Entertaining start, both teams with 2 hits in the first inning, and a laser beam to left. Johnson comes up with it quickly. Third hit of the night for South Carolina. Lexi Winters aboard.
Another pitch just elevated in the zone, not on a corner there. Belt high is a hitter's best friend, and Winters aggressive early in that count. That's the least amount of pitches we've seen a Gamecock take so far.
Brooke Blankenship, tremendous player, shortstop this season. She's made so many incredible plays deep in the hole. Inside corner for a called strike. Blankenship from Hudson, Florida, River Ridge High School, started her career at Florida State. And Basinger, her second strikeout, caught Blankenship looking that time.
2 strikeouts, both looking, but this one on the outer half. You see she uses a little bit of a curveball low in at the knees, and it clips that corner. Key here, Basinger 0-2 went right at Blankenship. We saw her dance around the strike zone in the first inning against the Gamecocks. And that's where we talked about that timeout with Coach Jamison. That has to be, hey, even if we're 0-2, we need to go at them a little bit harder than what we normally probably think about.
There's Abigail Knight, a blooper into left field, and it drops. Gamecocks with runners at first and second. Throw comes in hot. Cintron backs up the toss, and that'll get us to Emma Sellers. So 2 hits in the frame already for South Carolina. Gamecocks coming off a series loss in Fayetteville this week, in an emotional series close series decided by a run in the rubber match on Sunday. Clemson swept NC State after beating Winthrop in the midweek a week ago here. Winners at second base, Knight at first. And the 1-0 to Sellers evens the count. It's your first trip here to upstate South Carolina to take in a game. What's it been like so far for you?
Oh, I'm impressed. I mean, you're talking about a young program, 6th season for Clemson, and packed house, the berm. Obviously, this part of the country just gorgeous, so it's always nice to drive in and trees and lush green. You know, I'm in the land of drought, so all of our green is brown right now. But love the view of the stadium, and really, as we said, the fans lining up 2.5 hours before, and just how they've packed this place. Very impressed.
2-2. Do you see anything with Basinger technically so far? Still early, obviously.
She is hitting really good locations. When she goes inside, she's keeping it tight enough that even the hits that South Carolina has, they're not incredibly hard. That curveball has been located well. Not so sure that ball 3 in this at bat wasn't the same pitch Blankenship watched for her strikeout, but you saw both Basinger and heard the crowd rumble on that one. I like the location. She just has to be able to locate that off speed to where South Carolina can't barrel it up, because that's been the 2 hardest hits have been on her off speed.
Gamecocks have taken an eye down that right field line, trying to go the opposite way these first 2 innings. South Carolina, 32 wins this year. Popped up foul territory. Cintron retreats, falls down and grabs it, and tagging on the play and heads up base running over at second. Winters makes it to third.
If you're Basinger, this is what you wanted, an easy fly ball, but you can tell the route that Cintron went to catch this fly ball. She didn't have her footing. Heads up base running, as you mentioned, by Winters to go ahead and advance as Cintron fell.
We mentioned the first start for a freshman, for a young career at first base tonight with that sprained ankle with Noller. Here's Emily Vinson. Transfer from Longwood after 3 seasons there, ended up in Columbia. And sends that one foul.
And that's where you talk about Cintron in her first start at first base. It's just not being as comfortable as a veteran over there and knowing the route to take on a fly ball like that. You could tell she almost was trying to make sure she avoided the coach. You don't have to try to make sure you avoid that coach. They have to avoid you unless they're standing in their box, which is not the case. But I have a feeling Cintron will have some work on fly ball footwork after this.
Well, it's amazing, too. You know the ball's going to find you early. You're making your first career start at a new position.
It definitely is, and the first out of the ball game found her. Thankfully, it wasn't hard, but she was able to field and touch first. But
is that an unwritten law written somewhere in softball, baseball, that ball will find you?
Yes, always. It's like the ball knows.
Runners at the corners, and now a full count. Well, some early battles between Reese Basinger and this Gamecock batting order.
For me, I'm going to keep an eye on the pitch count, and the fact that we're already at 51 pitches for Basinger, and it's just, for Clemson, though, right now, the one thing on their resume they're missing is a top 10 RPI win. Tonight would do that for them if they are able to pull this one out at home.
Marion Collins, the dribbler, over to first for out number 1 on just 1 pitch. So Jory Hurd, through an inning and a third, has thrown 11 pitches to record 4 outs.
Clemson having the approach of, if it's in the zone, they're going to attack early. I like the approach. You like aggressive hitting, as a lot of times if you can get the barrel there, it puts a pitcher on her heels a little bit. But South Carolina hasn't really timed her up, other than Maddie Moore, for it to be hard off the barrel.
Here's Kylie Johnson. Ball and a strike to count. Jory Hurd, Huntley High School back in Illinois, led her team to a state championship back in 2019. It's interesting talking to coaches here in 2025 because a lot of the veteran players on their roster kind of back in the pandemic, and sometimes you hear stories about being recruited over FaceTime, and or maybe this is the second or third stop for some of these players.
And a lot of the junior class right now, that's the last class that could commit as 8th graders. So a lot of them committed before they were even in high school. Yes, I see your face. But yes, this junior class was the last class that could commit prior to the rule changing to where you couldn't go on a visit and you couldn't commit until your junior year of high school. And that's why a lot of times I think you see some after 1 or 2 years now trying to find a new home because they made a decision almost 6-8 years ago.
Hurd battles back, and Johnson strikes out. Second strikeout for Jory Hurd.
Well, Coach Chastain Woodard talked about Hurd's glove side sweep and how that's her strength, but she's really been hammering the Tigers inside. You see there another screwball. Johnson just unable to get to the upper 60s that Hurd's throwing.
Taylor Pipkins golfs one down the right field line and slicing foul. Pipkins hit her first home run as a Clemson Tiger back on Friday night up at NC State.
The first one on Friday and then ended the series with 2.
Nothing in 2, and Hurd has settled in beautifully in the circle. We mentioned the velo. You can hear the snap of the glove from up here.
That last pitch registered at 70 miles an hour, and really her command of that speed is looking really good tonight. Chastain Woodard said sometimes she can just try to grip and rip and throw hard and get outside the zone, but very good command so far here against the Tigers.
One-two to Pipkins. Caught, diving down was Blankenship over at shortstop, and another sensational play for Brooke Blankenship.
I mean, that's where we've said there haven't been a lot of barrels for the South Carolina offense. They have hits, but nothing has been extremely hard off the barrel, and that's timing, not getting the barrel in the right plane in the right place.
Back to the top of the order, Quincy Lelio. Oklahoma transfer takes outside. It's 2-0.
You know, if the Clemson staff could hear that interview, they'd be like, well, that's the pitcher's job, is to make sure you're not on time.
You know John Rittman pretty well, right? You guys were together on Team USA.
I do. I was a baby. I was straight out of high school when I joined the national team for the first time, and he was one of my coaches. And, he was part of our coaching staff for that entire quad. So from 2001 through 2004, he went over to Athens with us and part of our gold medal staff.
Lelio to left center, tracking as Brockenbrough makes the easy play. Coming up next week, we're featuring Tuesday's non-conference softball doubleheader. A couple of in-state rivalry matchups. Georgia Tech. Kat and I will be down in Atlanta, 8 o'clock Eastern, and then Western Kentucky and Louisville kick off the afternoon into the evening down in Atlanta. Looking forward to that matchup. And Carly Shelton digs in for Carolina. Reese Basinger, first pitch strike. Shelton, a base hitter, first time up. Carly's father played baseball at Charlotte, of course, where Ashley Chastain Woodard came from before she arrived in Columbia. Former South Carolina pitcher, graduated back in 2011. Carly's brother plays baseball at Florida, a chance to be a very high draft pick. Kat, you and I were talking about that pregame. Fly ball lifted to right in front of the track, and there's Pipkins for out number 2.
Yeah. Brothers at Florida, high draft pick potential. She has a sister who played at Colgate, has since transferred to Florida Atlantic. They're making noise in their conference as well, the American.
And it's back to Ari Rhodey. Off speed, and it's 0-1.
Actually, you want to know some broadcast trivia? I got to call one of her sister's games when they came to UTSA a couple weeks ago. So got both sisters covered this year.
That's awesome. You've been everywhere. You've been calling games all over the place. We used to hearing you down in the Lone Star State. And then now we've seen you in Atlanta. We've seen you here in Clemson. We'll get you back in Atlanta next week. And
head down to Orlando on Thursday, Friday this week. So I'm getting some traveling in now, but I still cover quite a bit of Texas, UTSA's games on Plus, and obviously some in Texas. But can't get away from the sport. Love watching it, love talking it, and love seeing young athletes be able to execute game plans, the success and the growth over their career. As a broadcaster, we get to see that. You see a freshman, and 4 years later, all of a sudden they're graduating. You're like, wait a minute, I remember talking about this kid, and coach saw potential, and then you actually get to see the potential come to full fruition.
Ball and 2 strikes to Ariana Rohde. And Basinger in the dirt right in front of home plate. And it was Rohde that was one of those players that actually did make a commitment over FaceTime to Coach Chastain Woodard at Charlotte because of the pandemic. Made that commitment sight unseen, and of course a lot of players were doing that back then because you couldn't go anywhere.
You couldn't visit. They were having visits via FaceTime or Zoom as well, like walking
a virtual tour
of everything.
Payoff pitch from Basinger, and a shot in foul territory. Rohde just a bit too quick on the trigger.
Rohde's starting to get a little bit more on time here.
Take a look at all the players that made that quick trip down Interstate 77 from the Queen City to Columbia. 6, in fact, including 3 really standout performers. And Kat, it's one thing when you bring a host of players in from one school to the next, but they went a level up, and there's really been no drop-off.
Yeah, a level up, no drop-off, and really you come in and sometimes you press a little bit and try to prove you belong. Because most people will look and be like, oh, playing mid-major, playing in the American, it's different than the SEC. But if you're an athlete, you're an athlete. If you want to compete, you figure out how to compete. And obviously, Coach Chastain Woodard knew these athletes could come compete. Otherwise, she wouldn't have brought as many. But when you have 3, 4 in the starting lineup today, plus a pitcher that you probably will see in a high-leverage situation at some point tonight, you can bring them over and continue the success. It just shows, one, their mental and physical capability, but the ability of the staff that Coach Woodard has as well.
Great battle between Basinger and Ariana Rohde. Another 3-2 on the way. Fly ball to deep right center, and that ball is gone. And South Carolina strikes first. 13th home run of the season for Ariana Rohde.
Bat, the on-deck batter should have grabbed that for her, but each swing of this at bat, she was getting a little bit more and more on time. This, the outer half, but up in the zone, and she stays through that right center off the bat. You knew that one was deep. Ariana Rohde doing what she does best for the Gamecocks.
40th RBI of this season. The Rhode Island native. And hugs down in the dugout. The big cap on as well. That's a Pulse AB. When you leave the ballpark, you knew right away. You gave me the signal. That's the earliest signal I've seen in the booth from an analyst that I've ever worked with in softball. You knew it. You could hear it.
You could tell that she got barrel there, and that's what we've been talking about is both sides. Can you get the barrel there and drive it hard, and that pitch up in the zone enough that she could drive it? She worked a 10-pitch at bat, and that's the key. Is we've talked about South Carolina will get deep in the at bat, but do you learn from it? You talked about the long foul home run she hit over here that she was just early. She made sure she got the barrel there on that one.
Yeah, the wind has died down here. It was blowing towards left field when we arrived. 24 to end a game and clinch a victory against Belmont. She's been on base a bunch this year at the bottom of the order for Coach Rittman. It's one of the reasons why. Since that went into center field, leadoff runner standing at first base.
You like this response. South Carolina goes up 1-0, and Brockenbrough able to get herself on, flip it over to the top of the lineup so they can see Hurd for the second time. We saw Rhodey make an adjustment her second time through. And Alex Brown, Maddie Moore, and Noller now do the same thing.
Gamecock infield, corner infielders 4 or 5 paces in for Alex Brown. Clemson can play small ball, especially at the top of this order. You see Brown in her last 20 games.
If she's able to score or not, that's a big at bat for Brockenbrough. She didn't have to see Hurd one time through to be able to make a dent in this game already. Sets up Clemson offense nicely here midway through.
We mentioned that speed perfect in the stolen base department this season. 7 for 7 for Brockenbrough. 2 balls and a strike. Chansey and Rhodey both almost meeting Alex Brown at home plate. Every attempted sign of a bunt. Back to Hurd in the circle. Bounces the throw to first, but it's in time. And covering was the second baseman, Shelton. Clemson now the tying run in scoring position.
Well, great execution by Brown to get this ball down. I think Coach Woodard and her staff, everyone held their breath as they watched Hurd throw that one, but great job by Shelton to make sure, 1, she secured the ball, but 2, stayed on the bag. That gets away. Brockenbrough probably is off to the races, possibly scoring.
1-4 on the sacrifice. Brockenbrough at second for Maddie Moore. Now Moore from Loomis, California, Del Oro High School. Leads the Tigers in batting average. And don't forget this week's ACC Network featured matchup in baseball. Number 7 FSU and UVA start a 3-game series Thursday night down at Dick Howser Stadium in Tallahassee. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern. A brief meeting in the circle now. John Ripman will walk down to talk with Maddie Moore halfway between third base and home plate.
Saw Winters go out and talk with Hurd, and now Coach Chastain Woodard going out. Winters is coming over to get the tape changed on her chest protector, so I have to imagine a pitching change is coming here.
Well, we did expect to see a change or two in the circle in high leverage situations, and Sam Gress going to get the early call here in the home half of the 3rd inning. We'll step aside, and a big moment, bottom of the 3rd. Runner in scoring position. Pitching change for the Gamecocks after this. Well, South Carolina head coach Ashley Chastain Woodard told us this week, Kat, that Sam Gress, the heartbeat of this team, the lead captain. I don't know that the numbers tell the full story, but what do you like in terms of what she brings to the circle?
Well, Sam Gress brings experience and confidence into the circle. She came over with Coach Chastain Woodard from Charlotte. She pitched big games there. She's won big games there. Coach talked to us about she has a unique arm side run that is a different pattern than a lot of other pitchers, and sometimes that works to her benefit, and she can change speeds extremely well. We saw her throw some changeups, but Sam Gress is going to be able to rely on that changeup a little bit more. So it's going to be a different mix coming from Sam Gress.
So we've got fans watching this game that are dying to know elite arm side run in layman's terms.
Yeah. So basically the screwball that pitchers throw, but Sam Gress doesn't necessarily snap it off the same way. It kind of tails off her hand, but the pattern and the way her ball moves, the trajectory of her ball, isn't just straight lateral. She has a little bit of like an uptick, and it's a late break. So it's a different, unique pattern, and they work with OGX, which is a primarily pitching company that helps pitchers understand their pitching patterns and what their bodies can do. And Chastain Woodard did that at Charlotte, because she said that same thing about Sam Gress last year, was this unique arm side run, and it sometimes fools hitters because it just has a little different movement than what you typically see from a right-handed pitcher.
She inherited the 1-0 count 2 balls out of the zone. And it's 3-0 to Maddie Moore, make it 3-1. That was also interesting that there was a last pitch by Jory Hurd. Count was 1-0, and then you make the pitching change.
Yeah, it was interesting that it was after 1-0 and not just straight to start Maddie Moore's at bat. It could be to see if it messed with Maddie Moore.
Did she offer? Peel down to third, and no, she did not. So now Clemson threatening with runners at first and second, just 1 away. And the first walk issued by South Carolina pitching. John Rittman will check in with us after this frame as 8 o'clock hour the East Coast begins to approach, as does time for sunset here in Clemson. Here's Julia Noller, who fouls back the first pitch.
I have to believe that when Gress went in this game, Coach Chastain's let her know, if we get too far behind Moore, we're not going heart of the plate in order to get a strike. Well, you don't like walks. That walk to Maddie Moore right now in this situation, not a bad option.
That's a great point. First base open. 0-1 to Noller. Off speed and out of the zone.
Well, and despite Noller's 331 average, you just mentioned earlier, she was injured. So, you know, she sat out on Sunday's game. She is in the lineup today. Then you have Cintron, who's a freshman after her. I'd take my chances if I was the pitching coach right now.
It was an ankle sprain up in Raleigh. And it's 1-2.
Well, you can tell just by how even she's walking out of the box that that ankle's not fully mobile yet.
You also knew she wasn't going to miss this game in the midweek against the arch rival. Inside out swing, hammer to deep left at the wall, and it was caught. Vincent made the grab and took away 2 runs from the Tigers. Check it, it would have been a 3-run blast.
SportsCenter Top 10, where are you? Because this is an absolute monster of a grab. I didn't point. I wasn't 100% sure it was going out, but I thought it was out, and then there she is. Over the wall, up off the wall to get herself lifted. That absolutely would have been a 3-run home run game changer for the Tigers.
Emily Vinson, the South Carolina native from Elgin. You won't find a better catch this year than what we just saw in a game of this magnitude.
No, that was an absolute monster of a play for Vincent out there.
And Ashley Chastain-Woodard wants this umpiring crew to take a look at that last sequence. Runners did tag on the play. So Moore's at second, Brockenbrough is at third.
I think she wants to appeal to see if Brockenbrough left second early. Heads up, though, by Brockenbrough not to be in awe watching a home run and being back on second to tag.
And you know what, Kat, we mentioned the wind that was blowing towards left field about an hour ago, 2 hours ago. It was gusting to 27. The wind has totally died down in the last 2 innings. That ball is hit an hour ago. It's probably in the moat somewhere 20 feet beyond the left field wall.
Yeah, an hour ago, that's easily over the berm there because the wind, the flags were way flying. But here you see Brockenbrough on the bag.
Great angle.
And now she can go as soon as it hits the glove. In the glove, she's still in the bag, so she's going to be safe there. She's way on the bag, even as Vincent's making that catch. So good base running by Brockenbrough to make sure she didn't leave early.
How about that catch from that angle in slow motion? It was even more spectacular there.
She went even farther over the wall from that angle.
Should be a quick review, and it is.
That is an absolutely great angle, though, because you can see as soon as ball hits leather, Brockenbrough, as soon as she takes the grab. But, man, I haven't seen a play like that live, I don't think, ever.
Ever. One more look. Emily Vincent gauging.
Just look how far this is. She's up over, I mean, that's elbow over the fence when she makes that snag. Those poor little girls in left field thought they had a souvenir.
Everybody in this stadium thought that was a 3-run jack. Instead, it's out number 2. Nollers retired thanks to Emily Vincent. And here's Macy Cintron. And the freshman lines that one foul.
I like Vincent's poker face out there. Yeah, no big deal. Back to work. If I made a grab like that, I'd still be smiling and talking about it.
I mean, this game ends and they hold on to win. You're talking about that the rest of your life.
You are, for sure.
I have to think it's also more meaningful for a player from within the borders of this state, the Palmetto State. Ball and a strike to count is Cintron. And you take a look at 2 out RBI leaders this season. Cintron with 11. Maddie Moore with an impressive 25. Big time clutch performer. She's standing at second. 1 and 2.
A base hit here could put her above both Collins and Vieira on that list. Anything into the outfield, have to believe Rittman's going to be waving Maddie Moore around too.
You can feel the restless energy here inside McWhorter Stadium. Remember, the Tigers shut out in Columbia 3 weeks ago. Trying to get on the board.
High early in the game. So 2 pitches that most pitchers would freak out, oh my gosh, these aren't working, but yet she's still competing against one of the top teams in the country, keeping her team in the game. And that's the mindset of a veteran pitcher, a pitcher who's worked through, you know, situations, gained the confidence, gained the experience. Not very often do you hear someone say, oh yeah, these 2 pitches aren't working, but she's still doing a great job.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about with Coach Rittman this week, that loss 3 weeks ago in Columbia, he said, we're a different team. And even Ashley Chastain-Woodard indicated that to us yesterday in our Zoom call. This one's fought off into shallow left, and the blooper's going to drop. So the second hit of the night for Winters. But he told us, he said, we were still trying to figure out who we were at that point in time. And since then, they've been on a run. We mentioned the sweep at NC State, midweek victory against Winthrop. They've had some tough series against good competition in the ACC. Different story tonight when you play your arch rival and a team that's also been scorching under a first-year head coach. Blankenship fouls it away.
When you talk about this South Carolina program under Ashley Chastain-Woodard, and they just took off. As soon as season started, there were a lot of people, eyes were already on to see what Chastain-Woodard and her staff could do, because they obviously did some great things.
Bunted to Cintron. Tried to get down the sacrifice. Blankenship couldn't do it, and Cintron records the first out.
Chastain-Woodard and her staff doing great things at Charlotte, so eyes were looking to see what South Carolina could do. She wishes that execution on that bunt was a little bit better, though, I promise you that. And so the eyes were looking at South Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone predicted it to be such a fast turnaround. And we asked Chastain-Woodard about that. You know, what was it that you came in with philosophy? And she's like, really, the people I put in place staff-wise, the transfers she brought in, which obviously she had familiarity with quite a few of them, as we've talked that they came from Charlotte with her. And I think bringing those over with her, those athletes could then vouch for her way of doing things to the athletes that were already at South Carolina. Like, hey, she came into Clemson and did this. Charlotte did this. It's going to work. But she talked about just really, it was about belief. Do you believe you should be hanging with the top 25? Do you believe we can be in the top 25? Because we do as a staff. So getting the girls to believe that about the program.
Here's Knight. Takes high to even the count. It's a team that won its first 20 games. She said it was after the first game. We won it. We started dancing. We've been dancing ever since. You win 20 games to start any season in any sport, you're going to have confidence. Still 2-2.
And a lot of times, too, you start that hot, there's a plateau.
Right.
Really, I mean, you look at their SEC record. No, it's not a winning record, but that's the SEC. It's such a hard conference to be getting conference sweeps in and being able to obviously compete in the top part, but they haven't even really just straight plateaued. Offensively, they've still been doing good, doing great, and pitching circle has kept them in so many games.
Payoff pitch, 3-hopper over to second. Only play will be at first for Maddie Moore. And it was a turn towards second base for a moment. And the underhand toss to Cintron. Our next men's lacrosse game on ACCN, number 7 Syracuse takes on 12th ranked Duke in Durham. Great matchup headed your way. Coverage starts at 2 Eastern on Saturday. So Knight grounds out to second. Winters now at second base. And Sellers into left field. It's hit quickly, and the stop sign is put onto the last second, and rightfully so. An absolute cannon from Johnson in left field. And the Gamecocks with runners at the corners. Well, that ball was hit so sharply, Kat.
It was. This was an off-speed pitch, and Sellers gets it right into left field, but you see Johnson there. Thought we were going to have a great play at home plate at first as Katie Browder was starting to wave Winters in.
First hit of the night for Sellers. Inside, and it's ball 1 to Emily Benson, who just turned in maybe the best defensive play you're going to see this season in a game of this kind of magnitude and importance.
You have to know that when you're looking at batting averages, obviously Vincent down under 200, but she's in there because of what she can do on the defensive side of the ball, which she just showed in the bottom half of the third. She can add an RBI hit here. That's going to be one heck of a day for the left fielder.
Gamecocks with 7 hits, only the 1 run, the home run by Rhodey. Now South Carolina out hitting the Tigers 7-3. Sam Gress remains in the circle, and it'll be Abby Vieira to lead things off. 5, 6, and 7.
The Clemson Tigers, no stranger to Sam Gress. She did throw 2 innings in game 1 down there in Columbia. Only gave up 3 hits. As we said, they were shut out, so no runs. But I think that's some too of where we see the aggressive offense for early swings for Clemson is because they're prepared for what part of the plate Sam Gress and prior to her Jory Hurd were going to attack.
Vieira, California native, considered the quarterback of this Clemson program. Essentially a 4-year starter behind home plate. The first year that she's been healthy, which has been a real difference maker, according to John Rittman, and took this past summer, 2024, to work on her training. Got off to a little bit of a slow start this year, but made some tweaks to her swing this springtime. Results have been solid in the 5 spot.
And she's such an important piece because you mentioned a 4-year starter, and Coach Rittman talked to us about how many 4-year starters and really Clemson rocks. He graduated last year when you're talking about Valerie Cagle, Mackenzie Clark. All of those athletes graduated, and now you have a young group who hasn't quite been in the program as long. So someone like Vieira, she's that link to saying, hey, this is what's been going on. This is how the program's grown. But you guys fall in suit, and this is going to be a seamless transition.
15 doubles, the verge of establishing a new Clemson record. One more 2-bagger.
I'll go ahead and apologize. I think the list of who graduated last year was too long for me to know a ton of names. But you know, now as a general manager for the professional league, the Volts. I actually have Mackenzie Clark on my roster.
How about that?
She was telling me how jealous she was that I was in Tiger Town tonight.
I bet, especially for a game like this. Fly ball lofted to straightaway center. Lelio is there for out number 1. Oh, a good battle that was won by Sam Gress. It's amazing. Clemson just started its softball program 6 years ago. Gamecocks had a 46-year head start. And in the invention of this rivalry beginning in 2020, Clemson gained the early advantage. We were talking with Ashley Chastain-Woodard about that. And I said, Coach, what was it like playing in this rivalry? And I caught myself and I said, you didn't play in this rivalry because Clemson didn't have softball, you know, when she played in the late 2000s and up to 2011.
Has to be interesting going to a school where there's that heated rivalry in other sports, but you don't partake in it.
Well, and she said it too. I was there when Steve Spurrier was the head ball coach for the football program down in Columbia. Ray Tanner was winning national championships on the baseball side, and it was Ray Tanner that called her about this opening last summer. She was the head coach at Charlotte. I said, Coach, where were you when you got the phone call from Ray? And she said, I was sitting on my couch at home. I had a long conversation with my husband, who, of course, is the head baseball coach at Charlotte. It still is. But it didn't take long to figure out she wanted to go back to her alma mater. And now, 2 balls and a strike to Marion Collins.
I think that's the dream job for so many former softball players who get into coaching is, can you eventually work your way to be at the helm of your alma mater? Obviously, Chastain-Woodard is, but for a long time, before the pack disintegrated, almost, I want to say, 2/3, if not more than that, were all alum from their program. You had Chelsea Spencer at Cal, Caitlin Lowe at Arizona, Heather Tarr at Washington. It went on and on. Like Amy Hogue at Utah. So there's so many coaches that are back at their alma mater, and I think there's something to that. There's a pride aspect, and then you talk about the tradition aspect and rivalries, whether they were in existence when she played or not. She knows what the Clemson-South Carolina rivalry is like from being in the stands for those other sports.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Collins. Marion from Marietta, Georgia. In her first season, she has shown tremendous power at times this year. This one hit in foul territory. Easy play for Ella Chansey. And 2 up and 2 down here in the 4th inning. Brings us to Kylie Johnson. Out of Wesley Chapel, Florida. Went to Wiregrass Ranch High School. Said she came to Clemson, committed here because she felt like the love for this program here in the community was unmatched. Fouls that one to the top of the netting.
My first visit here, I can confirm that I believe the love for this program is unmatched. A lot of times you'll see a program starter be young in their infancy, and the fans don't really jump in until they see success. Coach John Rittman has never been shy about saying they were having inter-squad scrimmages that they opened up to the public, and they were basically full, stands full of Clemson fans wanting to come get a look at what the softball program was going to look like. And obviously Coach Rittman having success at Stanford, and as you mentioned earlier, I got to play under him with the national team, so a coach who had so much experience and success in a short time, both obviously Duke and Clemson able to rise to the top of the ACC and compete on the national stage.
Tigers just 3 hits tonight. Foul territory and out of play.
A lot of these foul balls that are going down the left side of the field here, even the ones that have stayed fair to be caught, that's that arm side run that Sam Gress has. So it's going to spin with a little upspin, which causes the fly ball, but you can tell it keeps tailing in, which is why most of them are now going foul. Speed, so she's going to be a little bit different pace for South Carolina to have to attack, but has the experience. And South Carolina did see her in game 1. She threw 4 innings of that game as well, coming on in relief. But that off-speed pitch was really something Coach Rittman talked to us about, that Basinger wasn't able to get going real well tonight. So looking to see if that change of speeds can keep South Carolina at bay.
Top of the order, Quincy Lelio, 0 for 2 tonight. 3 balls and a strike from McCubbin. Lelio originally from Oceanside, California. Full count. Leading hitter for the Gamecocks this season. As she waited for her time in Norman. The Hall of Fame head coach Patty Gasso, 3 national championships, and now in Columbia has performed very well. Lines out to the shortstop Marion Collins here. Lelio now 0 for 3, and with 1 away, that gets us Carly Shelton, the second baseman.
Great job by McCubbin coming inside, and you kind of see Lelio has to slice that. Not an easy line drive for Collins to handle.
Shelton's 1 for 2. Carly chose the Gamecocks over Clemson and Ole Miss. Graduated early. She didn't graduate early, but coach called it freshman 2.0 year. Centron's able to stop it and can't get back to first base after the dive. Shelton reaches the second time tonight and her second hit.
This ball hitting the hole, and Cintron, great diving, but she has to know that McCubbin, it's a hard play for her to make. She has to be able to get up and try to dive back to the bag. I thought she had time to do that there. But again, we've talked about it. It's her first start at first base this year. It's just part of the awareness of where you are on the field and what plays can and can't be made.
Yeah, Haley Whiteside's got to start at first base when Noller was injured Sunday at NC State. Only play will be at first for the third baseman, Brown. And there's 2 away. Advancing to second is Carly Shelton.
Miss it. Ball off the bat. Rhodey jammed her just a little bit. Easy ground ball for Brown to make the play. I was watching.
Pipkins will lead things off. 8-9 at the top of the order, in South Carolina pitching between Jory Hurd, who got the start, Sam Gress out of the bullpen. Has been lights out so far, limiting Clemson to just 3 hits. And only 1 additional base runner via the free pass back in the second inning. That almost felt like a free pass to Maddie Moore, as they don't want to give her a strike to hit. Good start here in the home half of the 5th inning, as Pipkins is aboard for the first time, leadoff hitter standing at first base.
Pipkins expecting the inside pitch from Gress, does a great job of making sure she's on top of that. Seen a lot of fly balls down that way off the bats of the Clemson Tigers. She's able to get a hard ground ball off that. Leadoff base runner, especially with Brockenbrough, who was able to get herself on her first time up.
Base knocker, first plate appearance. Weekly back to the circle, underhanded by Gress. Over to Rhodey, and that'll put the tying run in scoring position. So Pipkins now standing at second.
Doesn't go down as a sac bunt, but it's about as good as a sac bunt, putting a runner in scoring position. They're the top 2 hitters now.
Alex Brown, 0 for 1 tonight, 1-4 sack her last time up. Inside out swing that just dribbles over to shortstop Brooke Blankenship. And that ball just died in the air right past the bag at third base. So the second hit of the inning, and somehow Brockenbrough finds her way to first.
That ball tailing away from from Brown's barrel, and it just keeps tailing towards the third base line, which is why Blankenship has no play on it. The lefties of Clemson have to combat that arm side run of Gress.
So here's Maddie Moore. high leverage situation. You look at her improvement and what she has done as Clemson's All-America second baseman. All those numbers in every single box trending up in all 4 of her years.
Well, and drastic improvements year over year, not just little increments. And that goes to show, 1, the athlete she is, but 2, how she takes coaching, how she's been able to learn, make adjustments. To me, it's the slugging percentage going from .639 to .818 this year. You buy into the power and the strength that you've grown as an athlete.
Big cut by Moore, and Gress gets it past her. Pipkins at second base, Alex Brown at first. And the optimum situation for Maddie Moore. One-two from Gress, stays high.
I like that pitch by Gress after Maddie Moore swung and missed at the rise. That was just a little bit lower. Gress trying to expand to see if Moore is getting caught up in the moment, if she's going to try to do a little bit too much. I'm going to take a gamble and say that pitch wasn't supposed to be in the exact same place.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Just 1 away. And the payoff, served into right field. Stop sign is put on. Throw comes in quickly. And Clemson has the bases loaded.
That was an absolutely great piece of hitting by Maddie Moore. This is a changeup, and you can see her legs are gone, but she keeps her hands back. She's able to throw the barrel, and Shelton is shifted over. There's a massive hole between first baseman and second baseman, and Maddie Moore able to just poke it through that hole in right field. Give Clemson their second big scoring chance here in this game.
Bases are loaded. You mentioned the crowd.
They're into it now.
Haven't had much to cheer about up until this moment. Gamecocks still have the lead, just 1 away. And here comes the most important at-bat of this contest tonight with Julia Noller battling the ankle injury and had a 3-run home run robbed from her by Emily Vincent in left field in her last plate appearance.
Well, that 3-run home run robbed is exactly why Ashley Chastain Woodard is out there talking to Sam Gress, because Chastain Woodard says Sam Gress is a lefty hitter specialist. That arm side run works tailing away from the lefty hitter's barrel. But now Noller was ready for it and able to drive that down the left field wall. So she's probably talking to her about how are they going to mix off speed? How are they going to go inside against Noller? Because we haven't seen Gress go inside to left-handed hitters yet.
Pipkins at third, Brown at second. Maddie Moore at first base for the Tigers. First pitch to Noller. Fly ball right on the edge of the Tiger paw in center field. Runner tags, throw home in time. Pipkins.
Until she had the ball, applied the tag. But I'm going to go back. That was an absolute money throw from Lilio.
That would be an understatement, and I don't really think you can blame Coach Rittman for trying to check for the obstruction call there, given the magnitude of that play. And we've seen the center fielder, Quincy Lilio, the left fielder, Emily Vincent. If South Carolina holds on to win this game, you can thank both of them if you're a fan of the Gamecocks.
Oh yeah, Gamecock fans right now need to be celebrating. And it's not the routine defensive plays, it's the outstanding defensive play.
Third time tonight, Lexi Winters will lead off an inning. She's got a base hit. First 2 times she was in this spot. And Brooke McCubbin remains in the circle for the Tigers, and Haley Whiteside's now at first base for Clemson. Whiteside's got to start at first. Noller was injured Saturday night at NC State. And it was Macy Cintron that was at that position to start tonight. game that has had a postseason feel to it from the jump.
Oh yeah, this is, everyone's been into it, and you can tell the players are on the field every time there's a tense situation. Someone comes up with a big pitch, a big play. That big hit, other than the home run by Rhodey, and that was in the 3rd inning, no one on, 2 out. So while yes, it's a big hit and the difference in the score, the intense moments right now are where the defensive side has been able to come through.
1-2, line out over to 3rd base, and Alex Brown positioned perfectly, and a routine out number 1.
I like the way that Brooke McCubbin has come in this game. 1st inning she was in 12 pitches, 8 strikes. She's able to retire Winters there quickly as well. Picking up the pace on the defensive side for Clemson.
And a shot to center. Brockenbrough was there and on the run. Reached out to stab it cleanly out of the air.
This pitch up, and Blankenship able to get the barrel line shot, but Brockenbrough was already shaded towards the right center gap, able to catch that on the run.
Yeah, you mentioned the pace of McCubbin and settling in nicely out of the bullpen for head coach John Rittman. Abigail Knight's 1 for 2.
You talk about her 1st inning, 12 pitches. On the flip side, Basinger's 1st inning was over 25 pitches.
Right out of Robbinsville, North Carolina. Also transferred in from Charlotte. Two balls and a strike. 1-0 Gamecocks, and now it's 3-1. You know, it always gets a little spicier when it's ACC, SEC. We'll get to see that next week down in Atlanta, that game we just previewed with Georgia Tech and Georgia. And the in-state rivalries, you know, one of the things we talked about with both coaches this week, I was just curious, you know, football between these two, it gets nasty, and basketball can be that way, baseball. We asked both coaches, what's it like in softball in terms of intensity? They both said it's intense compared to Auburn, Alabama, Texas, Texas A&M, like all the rivalries in the deep South, and this one is right there amongst all of them. But it was almost refreshing to hear both coaches admit 2-out walk, and now that gets us to Emma Sellers. Yeah, when we're out there, you can feel it. We felt it in Columbia 3 weeks ago. Alex Brown at 3rd to retire.
The game. But it's not just the on target. The strength of that throw got there in the air. Lilio made a nice, strong throw. But again, we've talked about transferring over from Oklahoma. You know, the first 2 years of her career, she was just soaking up everything there as she was part of 2 national championships. But that experience, that 2 years of training, practice, the expectations being high, she's ready to shine. And shining she is for South Carolina.
Indeed, number 43, garnet and black tonight. 0-2 to Macy Cintron.
And here, so far tonight, she's 0 for 3. And I know we've talked about it. Coach Chastain Woodard had to calm her down when her batting average dropped below 500. She may not feel like she does anything offensively, but that defensive play is going to be the difference.
Heated 68. Cintron chased it. And the strikeout for Sam Gress.
Gress elevating on that arm side with a rise ball, and Cintron unable to stay on top of it or lay off of it. Great spot there by Gress, though, going up and in. So that stayed tight to Cintron's hands.
3rd inning home run off the bat of Ariana Rhodey so far is the difference. That and the defense. Here's Vieira. And a looper to left field, played perfectly. Collins 0 for 2. Those 7 home runs. She has shown a tremendous amount of power at times this season. Tigers just 6 hits tonight. Gamecocks with 8. Second meeting. I asked both coaches, too, would you like to see like a 3-game series? And I think they would, but it's hard to do that with league play and all the teams and all the travel. Clemson was just out in Stanford 2 weekends ago before traveling to Raleigh last weekend, and then now a homestand coming up. And you got to get all those league games in for the conference networks. It's kind of hard to do a 3-game series against your in-state rival from a different league.
They would have to either take away one of their tournament weekends, which then limits 2 less games because they'd be playing 3, where normally when you go to a tournament you play 4 or 5. Or you have to have your bye weeks match up completely where you can play a 3-game series against each other, because I don't think either one of these wants to play a midweek doubleheader against each other.
And the 3-1 fly ball deep left field, going back Vincent, and it's gone! We are tied at 1.
Clemson Tigers have been hanging close. Offensively had chances to break through. We saw the 3-run home run robbed. This time though, Marion Collins, she got all of that one. This pitch on the outer half, but you see she's crowding the plate, but that pitch over the plate, whole ball on plate, up in the zone. Collins goes with that one and drives that out past the wall. Vincent, no chance at robbing that one.
8th home run of the season, and we had just mentioned her raw power and what it has looked like at times this year. She'll sign the bat, do the fist bump, and a brand new game.
Well, and it's a left-handed hitter. I mentioned earlier, Chastain Woodard said that Sam Gress is a left-handed hitting specialist because that ball tails away. And that's twice tonight that left-handed hitters have almost taken her deep or taken her deep, because the robbed home run was a left-handed hitter, and now Collins there. But as I mentioned, she was on that chalk line ready for that outer half of the plate too. And so she was ready to drive that pitch. She got all of it.
I thought Vincent was going to catch that, by the way. Given what we've seen in the South Carolina outfield. Kylie Johnson fights it off, 0-2. So now Sam Gress has to settle back in, and Clemson, a little momentum on its side for the first time.
Yeah. Gress has to settle back in. Game is still tied, not over by any means, so figure out how to get out of this inning. But to your point, I think if that ball had been a little more left, our left, over the fence, Vincent might have had an angle on it, but much farther to her left and our right it was, she didn't have an angle to get to the wall and rob that, but it didn't clear by much more than the one earlier she robbed.
The Gamecocks to start things off here at the top of the 7th. Out of Sharpsburg, Georgia. Missed most of 2 straight seasons, 22 and 23, due to injury. Multi-sport standout, Northgate High School. Played basketball, soccer, was also the county's shot put champion. 2-1.
She was busy doing it all.
You like that, right? That's not a bad thing.
It's not.
For somebody that's going to play in college in one sport to stay playing multiple sports in high school.
There are a good number of people that will try to convince you that you have to specialize and you have to be focused on one sport in order to make it big. And I actually think being able to find a way to do multiple sports, it allows you to be more athletic, and it also eliminates burnout because you always have something else to get your mind off of what you're doing. I played basketball all the way through high school, and talking to you before the game, it was part of my recruiting. If you're going to try to tell me that I can't play basketball my senior year because you want me to be safe and healthy, I'm going to tell you to go recruit somewhere else because I want to be able to play basketball.
Line out to Collins at short. Just tied the game, makes a nice play there. 1 up, 1 down for Carolina. Don't forget, we'll have every game of the ACC Women's Lacrosse Championship. That starts next Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. Once again, right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. Back to the top of the order, Quincy Lelio. Takes ball 1 low and away. Well, 0 for 3 tonight, but an incredible play in center field on the 8-2 DP to end Clemson's scoring threat. After the Tigers loaded the bases, now 1-1.
I just love the way Brooke McCubbin is going right at South Carolina's hitters.
Hit hard and lifted to left field for Kylie Johnson. 2 away.
Let's backtrack for a moment to the multi-sport athletes, though. Is when you play another sport, I mentioned it allows burnout to be less, but it keeps you in shape year-round. I think so many athletes think they have to go to a strength and conditioning coach or to be in shape, but if you play a different sport, we talked about Rhodey doing ice hockey. She's on her legs, she's doing something that's increasing endurance. And I think so many athletes get told to specialize that then they become one-dimensional both mentally and physically.
That's a good thing about broadcasting multiple sports. Never gets stale. Ground out to second base and more up. One for 2 tonight. Sam Gress remains in the circle for the Gamecocks. I mean, right, this is how it should be. It should come down to the final inning or two in a tight game between rivals like this.
This is what the fans like. As a player, this is where you thrive. Opportunity to possibly walk off.
Emily Benson has re-entered the game in left field after Heath came in as a pinch hitter. And Pipkins to Blankenship, had to wait on it. And a quick trigger. Fires his strike over to first base for out number 1.
This ball, while off the bat looked like it might be routine, it was the slowness and the fact that Blankenship had to wait on it to get the good bounce. It's just a little faster. That might be an infield single. It's a big first out, though, for South Carolina as Pipkins had the leadoff hit in the 5th off of Gress.
First pitch strike, Jamison Brockenbrough. 1 for 2 tonight, batting 9th. Tennessee transfer. And line down the left field line, but just foul.
Yeah, the collective sigh of the crowd as that hit a couple of feet wide of the left field line.
I mean, Kat, this game has had a little bit of everything. The spectacular catches, the home runs. I don't know, we've talked enough about really both pitching staffs and what they've been able to do this evening.
Or just do enough. Neither side has had dominant strikeout after strikeout, but they've both been able to do enough to keep hitting hitters off balance. I think the move to McCubbin by Clemson was absolutely at the right moment. They were coming their 3rd time through. She's been able to mix speeds. We're going to see a delay of game there called with the pitch clock. So Brockenbrough is now going to have a ball issued to account.
1-2. The crowd helped identify that violation. Slow roller, Chancey at 3rd, in time.
Looks like Crash roughly down there at first is possibly signaling to challenge this one. Brockenbrough just tops this one. Chancey has to make a great play. I think she's out. Yeah, that ball's in the mid before Brockenbrough is there at the bag, but I think John Redmond's going to ask for a challenge either way. Anyways.
And he does. Bottom of the 7th inning as it stands now. The 2nd out of the frame. A nice play by Ella Chancey at the hot corner. Well, certainly this matchup has lived up to the expectations. Maybe not the offensive firepower kind of way that some maybe would have hoped or expected.
I'm going to go back.
Brown's 1 for 2. He's one of 7 Clemson hits tonight.
Alex Brown can find her way on. Clemson's going to feel pretty good as Maddie Moore is leading the team with 2 out RBIs.
And she has a bunch of them.
Her job right now to bat is to pass the bat to Maddie Moore.
Brown to left, and it drops. Barehanded grab by Vincent. And the Tigers still alive here in the bottom of the 7th.
Good job going oppo by Brown. Hold my breath that Vincent wasn't going to dive for that, because if it got past her, that would have been extra bases. You see there, the bare hand as is almost bounced away.
And here comes Ashley Chastain-Woodard. This is the situation she described to us this week. She did not want to see a chance for Maddie Moore to beat Carolina. And now, what do you tell Sam Gress in this moment? High leverage situation.
This is why you have Sam Gress in the game. She's your best pitcher in high leverage situations, but Maddie Moore did have a great at bat, was able to poke a single into right field, but you can't necessarily try to pitch around Maddie Moore right now either, because Noller had the 3-run home run robbed, and that was off of Sam Gress. So she's seeing Sam Gress well too right now. I believe this is going to be a conversation about what pitches they are going to throw, especially early to Maddie Moore. But you can't avoid Maddie Moore right now, not with the way Noller has seen Sam Gress as well.
Here we go. Moore, 2 for 2, has reached in all 3 plate appearances. Nothing in 2.
You can see Sam Gress going with the off-speed pitch early. Now she can try to speed Moore up, staying inside with her hard stuff, even elevating it a little bit. Moore with 2 strikes, going to have to be a little bit more disciplined here. Not chase anything out of the zone, allow herself to see a few more pitches till she can get the barrel there.
Last 9 games, Maddie Moore even above her season averages.
There by Maddie Moore. You can tell with the movement she had there, she's looking for that changeup, knowing that Sam Gress is going to try to use the off speed to beat her.
And Moore battles back, the count full.
Giving herself a little pep talk there.
And the payoff. Fly ball straight away. You're enjoying this one.
You gotta love a rivalry game that just lives up to the hype. Even though it's not high scoring, it is defensive plays being made, big home runs in crucial situations. I mean, Clemson was down to 5 outs remaining to tie this game. And
Ariana Rhodey, cue ball to second. 1 pitch, 1 away.
I'm sure there's some South Carolina fans here, but I'm not sure where they are, because the orange is covering this entire ballpark.
Right behind third base there.
A little section over there behind first base. Or third base, excuse me. That's a big out for Brooke McCubbin, though, to retire Rhodey early in that at-bat.
Have we talked enough about what McCubbin has done up to this point as you see Chansey's 0 for 3? Right back up the middle. And change that one, now 1 for 4. So Chansey reaches for the first time.
Well, and probably not. McCubbin has had a low pitch count. This ball just up in the zone. I don't think that was supposed to be as high as it was. A good inside corner, but high enough. Chansey was able to push that through. Go back. If you look at McCubbin's line right now, you're not going to see a strikeout on there. But yet she's been able to keep South Carolina at bay since entering this game.
Yeah, 3 1/3 innings yielded just the 2 hits, the 1 walk. Lexi Winters tonight 2 for 3. And in the air over to third. Well, the way that ball came off the bat, I wasn't sure if it hit the dirt first and then bounced that high in the air. But an easy play for Brown for out number 2.
Change of speeds on that pitch got Winters out in front. You thought it might have hit the ground. I wasn't sure who was going to come in and catch it because the depth of Collins. I could tell that Collins wasn't going to get it on time, so was she going to be able to field and possibly go to second as Chansey wasn't off far, but
yeah, there have been a number of balls hit tonight with apparent topspin that just kind of angled out funny. We're also at a different angle in this ballpark, which probably skews my perspective a little bit. Not directly behind home plate, but it is a great shot on the third base side of home. One and 2 to Blankenship. Neither team has blinked defensively tonight. Chansey remains at first base. McCubbin wanted that first strikeout there. Nodded her head afterwards.
that was such a competitive pitch in that 1-2 count. Aaron did a great job with that pitch too.
She'll get it on the next offering. Brooke McCubbin with something to say.
Brooke McCubbin, she missed on the outside pitch. She comes with this drop ball down and in. Blankenship unable to come up with it. Clemson looking to walk it off.
Kat, how old did you say this program was?
6 years.
Great atmosphere, great support. And if you just step foot in here to McWhorter Stadium, you'd have no idea that 7-8 years ago, this whole facility did not exist, and that man has done a tremendous job in building this program from literally nothing.
That's where 6-7 years ago, everything that's going on right now, he was having to sell to recruits. He was having to say, trust me in the building process, trust me in building you as athletes. This is what can happen if you come here, if you come to compete for Clemson. Truly amazing job how quickly he made Clemson competitive. And obviously, if you're a Clemson fan or a softball fan, period, you know a big part of that was riding on the arm and bat of Valerie Cagle. But to get an athlete of her caliber to buy in that early allows him to be on the map and then draw recruit after that.
Julia Noller, the injured ankle, steps out. It's 1-1. ACC versus SEC. 3, 4, and 5 due up first for Coach Rittman's Tigers. Sam Grass will get Noller, pop up to the second baseman Carly Shelton.
Right now, Clemson going to have to understand, if you're a power hitter and you have displayed that power tonight, Sam Gress is using that changeup against you. And that pitch has some downward movement, so you have to figure out how to drive that ball on the ground hard. If you have speed, possibly bunt it. But Maddie Moore and Noller both heavy dose of changeups after hitting the balls deep.
It's Macy Cintron. Coach Rittman talked with us about her potential this week. Sky is the limit. And he said she's a leader. this one off to Vincent in left. 2 away.
I believe if I'm Macy Cintron and I see the success Valerie Cagle had as a two-way player here at Clemson, and you really want to hit as a pitcher, this is a place you know you can do it, and they're going to give you the opportunities to. And you see Coach Rittman, even though she does have 2 strikeouts on the day, still letting the freshman bat and compete in this game.
Abby Vieira, the catcher, 0 for 3. 3 home runs this season. Stabbed beautifully by Gress. 8 innings in the...
You can stay focused. Sometimes, especially in intense games like this, with the rivalry and all of it that plays in, it can be hard to stay in the moment and not want to do too much.
Knight over to second, and Maddie Moore is there.
And I was actually thinking about that point as Knight was batting, is Clemson in the bottom of the 8th really didn't see many pitches. They were retired quickly by Sam Gress. Part of that pitch execution, but when you're trying to win a ball game, you just need a base runner, and a lot of times you try to work a little bit deeper in the count, but Clemson was attacking early. We saw Knight attack after she got 2 strikes, but she was trying to work deeper in the count to see if she could get on. So sometimes maybe, and maybe with young Clemson right now, they were all trying to do a little bit too much and be the break that Clemson needed, as opposed to letting the game kind of play out. And same can be happen in the circle. You can try to win a ball game. There was a point in time in my career that got to close games in the 7th, 6th or 7th, and I gave up a couple key hits. And finally, someone was like, "You're trying to win the game before we even have 3 outs. Like, we have to get 3 outs." And I said, just worry about getting the out, not trying to win the game.
Ball and 2 strikes. Pitch number 53 from McCubbin. John Rittman said about Brooke, just doesn't get fazed by much. Even if she gives up a hit, a home run, she's right back at it. This day and age, that's not easy to do, especially with all the great hitters out there. And a good AB here for Emma Sellers. It's 3-2. Which team will blink first? Inside and ball 4. Oh, the Gamecocks get a base runner.
There you see the patience that the Gamecocks often display, paying off to get a base runner here in the 9th.
Did feel like since McCubbin checked in that South Carolina's plate appearances became shorter in terms of pitch count duration, if that makes sense. They're not seeing as many pitches. Better way to say it.
Well, this is McCubbin's 5th inning of work now and 55 pitches, so that's how efficient she's been. Not even to the 60 pitch mark, which would average 12 an inning, or yeah, 12 an inning for 5 innings of work.
Good arithmetic on your part.
A little close there.
2-0.
That's how McCubbin wanted that pitch there, and I think I would have too. Interesting piece here is, well, Vincent, not a high batting average, batting with 2 outs, or with 1 out. And granted, Lelio, usually a very solid hitter.
Vincent to McCubbin. Gamecocks will have the go-ahead run in scoring position. Oh, Vincent, a productive out there, getting it back towards the circle. And there was a trio of Tigers converging on that softball.
Yeah, Vincent bunts this, and it actually dies right there in no man's land in the middle, which is where you usually want to try to put the bunt. Brown was going to come over, but McCubbin able to make the play. If Maddie Moore had actually thought to throw to second instantaneously, she could have possibly actually got Sellers rounding. She had a big round there at second base.
Now McCubbin didn't get the memo that there was a meeting right behind her. She retreats back for a moment. Now South Carolina with a golden opportunity and the top of the order up in Quincy Lelio. Without a hit tonight, 0 for 4 for the Oklahoma transfer. Let's see what happens here. Sellers at second base. Lelio takes strike 1. And McCubbin pounding the zone at 68 miles an hour.
She comes inside at 68, then she throws that outside changeup at 57 that just sneaks the corner and has the down movement.
And the 0-2 slapped is short, bottom of the 9th inning. That power on full display. Softball traveled nearly 230 feet.
Collins should be ready for a changeup here from Sam Gress. Maddie Moore got changeups. Noller got changeups. She's going to probably get a heavy dose of them as well after that power display.
And Sam Gress coming off a 5-pitch 8th inning. I want to talk about efficient. Number 9 in the garnet and bounced about 6 inches in front of home plate.
South Carolina was up to bat. We were talking about it. Felt like Clemson could have possibly worked the counts a little deeper against Gress in that 8th inning. Not trying to be a one-swing hero, but put together some things.
Off speed in the upper part of the zone at 49. Six, 7, and 8 due up first for the Tigers. Collins, Kylie Johnson, Taylor Pipkins. And the 1-2. Hammered left field. Back is Vincent. The Tigers walk it off. She did it again.
Collins in the biggest moment so far in her freshman year. 2 home runs against one of the best pitchers for South Carolina. Absolutely monumental moment for Clemson this season, for the freshman in her young career. There's a reason she started every game this season. And John Rittman waiting for that one big swing to turn this game around, and she did it not once, but twice.